What is up, everybody? Do not adjust your screens. It's me. It's Lou Betya back in the hot seat, and we are here to break down the rubble, the debris, if you will, what's left over of UFC 279 from a DraftKings and betting perspective, guys. As of now, I mean, unless you're Patrick Starr living under a rock under the sea, you know that we have major issues going on with this card. The main event off, the co-main event off, the co-main event probably off, as everything's being shuffled like a deck of cards. 55 people made weight. Lou, how are you doing? Are you looking forward to the ghost of the card that was UFC 279? Exactly. Yes, exactly. Out of a blue chalice.
Not much more I can say. Glad to be back. Thank you guys in chat for hanging out.
Yes, thank you, chat.
We will do our best with most of the card today. There are posted odds for some of the matchups that may or may not happen. So I guess Monk might be kind of useless for those since we don't know what the salaries are going to be. I will at least.
All the salaries aren't changing. We just don't know the matchups. They can't change that shit.
I will tell you before we even get to this fight that for those that saw what the posted odds were of Ferguson and Diaz, Ferguson has been absolutely hammered to a sizable favorite. He's minus 180 now after they opened him at plus 135. So that's definitely a thing that is happening right now.
Guys, the water is on fire at this point. That's what's happening here. It is it's absolutely insane. I don't we're gonna try to do our best, honestly. My one piece of advice, and we'll go over the countless, innumerable weight misses that happen on this card as we get to them. Yeah, my advice this week, tread carefully. I was talking to Lou before the show. I might max the 20 max, and that's about it. There's no way there's no way I can play the one fit. Like, you're going to be splitting with a gazillion people, all that work for nothing. But that, we're going to stay positive here. We're going to break down what we have left of this card and what we know at the moment. Chat, actually, this would be a great time to let you know. Keep up on the Twitter. If anything breaks that is actually legit, please don't troll us too much. I know I just invited that by saying that. Put it in the chat, and we will try to figure it out as we go along all together. So let's get right into it, guys. First fight of the night. This one, made it without a hitch here. Darian Weeks, Johan Linace. Neither guy has a UFC win. I'll start this one off from a DraftKings point of view. I didn't like it at first, but now exactly, Uncle Weezy. I didn't like this fight at first, but now I think you have to at least play the Johan Linace side. Darian Weeks, 5 finish wins out of his 5 fights in his professional career. Meanwhile, Johan Linace, 6 wins out of 8 have been finishes. I like the Linace side. Both guys score very well per minute, but neither guy has achieved that first UFC win here. So I like the Linace side. I like him for a bit of salary relief. I love the takedown and control time upside, but Darian Weeks has shown that as well. Just has not been able to get it done against Ian, Gary Machado, and Brian Barberena. Linace was beating Gabe Green's, working Gabe Green until he wasn't anymore. Cardio gave up on him, and Gabe Green put him down. So that is something you would have to look for as far as the cardio. But I like Linace here. I like Linace by finish, hopefully. And if I am playing, I will have a decent amount of Johan Linace this week. Lou, what do you got on this opening fight of the night?
So when at first glance, I was on the weak side. I'm not on the Lioness side at all here. I'm going to play the under, but I'll explain why. So what's interesting to me is that Lioness, I think we know what we get with him. He has a lot of power. He has about 7 minutes of cardio.
Yep.
Weeks, I actually had taken Weeks against Ian Gary. Thank you, sir. I'd taken Weeks against Ian Gary more as a fade against Ian Gary. That was not a great bet, but at the same time, he was never really in trouble in that fight. He just got outboxed. He's never in danger of being finished or hurt. So what's curious to me is that if Weeks is the favorite, I would have thought the fight goes distance would have been plus money here or minus money, but it's not. The under is the favorite at minus 140. So they're thinking one of two things happens, that either Lioness gets him out of there early or that once he fade, Weeks gets him. I saw Mushroom say Weeks round 3. I don't think that's it's not a terrible look here. when Lioness gasses. But it's terrifying that Lioness in the first round is very, very live. I'm going to side, for the sake of the show, I'm going to side with Weeks, only because I think his boxing is good enough to outlast Lioness's surge of power. But I really like the under more, and it's a good way to start off the card as just you root for violence. Typically, when we have these cards that are a mess, like it feels like 90% of the fights go under. So I'm going to play the under, and I lean Weeks, but not super confident. More confident in the under 2.5 than anything else.
Yeah, I like that angle for sure. I mean, because if Johan's not going to finish him, he's, good. Seeing the full 15 minutes could be difficult for our guy Johan here. So let's keep it moving. I mean, what are we going to say about of all the fights that could have fallen off? This was not one of them. Elise Reed going against Melissa Martinez, newcomer into the UFC. We have no stats for her. No Dana White Contender Series fights. No, nothing. Her strength of schedule is terrible. Her last 5 fights, her opponent win rate is 21-21, so 50% even. That is garbage, and it makes Elise Reed's terrible strength of schedule look somewhat decent, which is very difficult to do. Her only win coming against Corey McKenna, split decision. Lost to
Weezy's favorite fight ever.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Everyone's favorite fight. My goodness. Sajara Eubanks beat her in her debut, and then Sam Hughes gets the KO TKO in her. All Elise Reed has is a left hook. That's all she threw. She was basically, it looked like someone playing UFC 4 without knowing the buttons. She was just spamming left hooks over and over again. And Sam Hughes was getting caught by them. Corey McKenna was getting caught by them. They just couldn't figure out what was going on. But Elise Reed scores only 1.85 a minute and 70 per win. I'm not interested in her. I'm not interested in this fight. The salary voodoo says 77 is fantastic, so I might be a bit over on Elise Reed because of that and the fact that she does get finished 2 out of 3 times in the UFC. She has been finished, so I like to see that when it comes to DraftKings. So I might have a bit more of this fight than I was originally thinking, but it's not going to be anywhere near anything super relevant. So give me, I guess, Elise Reed, because I don't trust newcomers going against people that have fought UFC talent, even if they're terrible, with 0 fights. So give me Elise Reed to win a terrible, terrible decision. What do you got on this one?
Well, let me just say what I'm seeing as the latest updates. I'll do like the Lou
please.
The Lou news here. So Kevin Holland wants to fight in the main event, and he wants to be 5 rounds against Khamzat. And then Diaz versus Ferguson could be 3 rounds, even though Diaz still wants 5 rounds and Ferguson wants 3 rounds. Also of note, the Leech still has not come out in his awesome blue suit, which if you didn't see it earlier is badass.
It's the biggest shame of this entire card.
So this is also a fight that's happening. Reed Martinez. I have no bet on this. I watched Martinez's last fight. She won a split decision in a fight that I did not think she won at all. I thought that was pretty clearly that she had lost. I think they're just trying to push her a little bit. With Reed, there's a path to beating her. It's taking her down. Martinez has not shown much of that, but she's been gone for a few years, so we don't really know how much of that grappling she's been working on. For the show, again, the pick is going to be Martinez because at least Reed is bad. Like very bad and so bad and very plain. But there's so much we don't know on the Martinez side, especially improvements she's made. So I'm going to lean Martinez as a fade on Reed, but I want nothing to do with this one.
Yeah, this is trash fire, this one right here.
If Martinez can get any takedowns, I feel like she wins the fight.
Yeah, any at all. Elise Reed can't do anything off of her back except just look up at the ref like, are you standing it up yet? Are you standing it up yet? Yeah. Next fight, Chad and Helliger. I mean, going against Hailey Alatang. I wasn't sure. I keep flip-flopping on this fight, to be honest. Why don't you start us off on this one?
I'm interested in this fight. And Helliger, I don't know that he's UFC caliber, but he's kind of exciting. I mean, he fights an exciting style. It's weird that he got a contract off the Contender Series. Winning a split decision. The only guy that ever did that was your boy Johnny the Slugger Not Parsons. but
Johnny by God Parsons.
But he did come through as an underdog. I understand that. But the straighter fight was interesting, but he wasn't dominant. I mean, Alatang should dominate this fight, and I actually think the line is not wide enough for the theoreticals. I think minus 170 is, to me, it feels like a bargain on Alatang. He can take this to the ground. I like his cardio. I like his toughness. You know, the guy's got a good chin. I feel like Anheliger's win equity is a KO, and I don't know that he gets. I don't just see him getting a KO here. So the pick is Alatang. I haven't gotten there in the betting window yet, but Alatang decision is kind of a way I would play this. And Alatang by decision is plus 180, which I think is pretty good odds for what I think happens probably more often than not in this spot.
Yeah, I don't mind that play at all. I think I'm back on the Hailey side. I was on Chad at first, but then looking into the numbers, he just has, did absolutely nothing from a ground perspective. Gave up almost 2 points a minute in those categories. What is up? Easy in the house. Hailey Alatang doesn't score well per minute. I mean, outside of the Kevin Kroom fight, which was the last one in which he scored almost 130, 128.63.
Well,
He
hold
hasn't
on.
done
Now,
much.
hold on a second. Now, hold on. Kevin Kroom stinks, and it was and it was a flash KO. So, like,
yeah. Outside of that, though, I'm saying he has scored not even 80 points so far in the UFC. So I don't know what to make of this guy as far as DraftKings. I'll probably be around the field on both of them. Maybe a bit of Anheliger because at 7,800, it turns out these mid-range underdog salaries are very, very good at making the optimal lineup. Your 77, 78, 79, 8,000, that range right there. And even the ones that match up to that 84, 83, 82, those salaries make optimal at a very, very good clip. And that's not, saying anything crazy. Obviously, you need cheaper salaries to make the optimal to balance everything out. But it does pan out when you start looking at the stats. So I'll have a bit of both here. Probably a bit more of Hailey Alatang. He has made the optimal lineup, and I do expect him to win. And if he wrestles at all, that's just going to be tons of control time points for me, tons of takedown points, hopefully, and put up 100 points, triple digits at 8,400 would be fantastic. Next fight, Norma, apparently her new nickname is the Dump Truck Dumont. I have to watch the weigh-ins, apparently, Lou, against Danielle Wolf, who's never fought, actually who has one MMA fight total in her career. I'll start this one off. I mean, how can you play Danielle Wolf? Maybe at 7,000, you're like a dart throw only. That's about it. Is this true? We're going to get an update here in 17 minutes. That would be fantastic.
We will bring it to you. We will bring you the news as we get it.
Yes, sir.
On the MMA engine. I'd say exclusively, but everybody's going to be reporting at the same time. And I'm just going to be reading off a screen. So
yeah, exactly. And easy. I agree. I need to go back and watch this because Laura Sanko is going all in on Norma, the Dump Truck Dumont. I like Dumont. I think she rolls here. There's no way I think Danielle Wolf beats her short of just some power shot that Dumont doesn't see, but I don't really see that happening. I think that's less than probably 10% chance. Norma Dumont, though, doesn't score well. I think she can take care of Danielle Wolf. If she lands even one takedown, she's going to get a sub. This thing is going to be over, and everybody's playing Hazmat. Everybody's playing who's 9,500? Yelton Almeida, including myself. Nobody's going to be on Dumont. Everybody's going to be on Li Jingling. Nobody's going to be on Dumont. She could come out here and absolutely roll Wolf. First round submission, 110, 120 points, make the optimal, and you're SOL because you have 10% of her. I'll be well over the field. I don't even think her ownership was at 20% earlier when I looked. So I'll be, 30%. You're doing yourself a favor here. I'm not playing Danielle Wolf at all. Lou, anything jumping out to you from a line standpoint?
So Dana White did, in fact, say he'll be going live at 6. I may have it in my ear as we're doing the show, just to give you guys, for anybody that doesn't want to watch that, I'll just be poking around.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so fights like this and the next one on the card are why I came back. The star power. Put on my new Macho Man shades.
Oh, yes.
For all the star power on the screen. So I actually have a bet on this one I like. So I like the under 2.5. It was plus 165 last time I looked. It's been bet down a little. It's still 165. All right, good. So here's what should happen. Dumont should chuck her down and either sub her or ground and pound her because Wolf doesn't know how to fight on the ground.
Yep.
But Dumont is kind of a colossal disappointment every time she fights. She doesn't really enact the greatest game plans. And if she wants to stay on the feet, I think Wolf's live to knock her out. I mean, neither one looked particularly good on the scales today. So I don't love the cardio for either one here. The most likely result. So Dumont in the distance is plus 200. I have that bet. I also played the under 2.5 to back it up in case Wolf gets the KO at plus 165.
Love it.
I actually think, to your point, the winner of this fight scores really well. And if Danielle Wolf, again, I'm not betting her, but if Danielle Wolf were to get a KO and she's going to have like 4% ownership.
Exactly.
I mean, her ownership, she might be the lowest owned person on the card.
She is as of now. It'll be like Ferris Zaim last week, making optimal at like 9%.
I think she is a sneaky person to put in one lineup because she could break the slate with a KO at her salary. And think about everybody you can get. And this is on a card now. Like, let's say that, again, we don't really know what's going to happen in the next few minutes, but let's say the Khamzat fight's off completely, because I think they're going to have to move some mountains really to make that fight happen. If Khamzat and Holland, or Khamzat and Holland are both off the card, and Li Jinglang's, if they're all off the card, all of a sudden that range of those high salaries, it's like now you may be able to get the 3-4 highest guys on. It's going to be weird, and you're going to need that one dog just to come out.
Well, it just sucks because I've been on Yelton Almeida harder than anyone else this week, and now he's the last man standing.
Right, I know, but I'm very excited to break that one down. But so the pick is Dumont in the distance at plus 200. I think the sub's live, but I'm not getting crazy with this. But the under 2.5 is it's a very intriguing bet with what I think Wolf's win condition is and what I think their cardio looks like.
Yeah,
I mean, it's two fighters that needed the box of shame, man. Like, so
at 145,
I don't have a metric on that. Well, at least they made weight. To their credit,
they
both made weight. And Laura Senko was absolutely destroying these people during the commentary, like just calling this a dumpster fire. Laura Senko is just a tremendous.
I thought she said that Dumont had a dump truck. She was a dump truck driver. She did,
but her and DC were just ragging on everybody. They're like, what an unprofessional. Like, it was great. They were not holding back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say DC was ragging on someone for being unprofessional at a weigh-in?
Well, DC and I are now in a little mini feud over his thoughts on a certain Greek guy.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I won't say his name. You know who he is.
We know who he is. And we know how shiny his fucking teeth are.
But I'm very excited for this next fight. This next fight is why I'm here.
God damn it. I can't do anything right now. There we go. Put the keyboard down, buddy. Jake Collier going against, Chris Barnett. Guys, we have officially our second heavyweight weight miss of all time. Was it Justin Tafa, number one, the inaugural, the Neil Armstrong of heavyweights missing weight? Well,
like, how did Brock Lesnar never missed weight? And that dude is enormous. Like, how?
Chris Barnett.
And someone in the chat. 5'9". He's 5'9", dude.
Yeah, someone in the chat earlier said we just give Collier a free paycheck, put Barnett against two of the women fighters, and it made me think of the movie Airplane with John Candy and the mud wrestling. That's exactly how I would see that happening, but I digress. Anyways, why don't you go ahead and start this one off, because this is pretty much a one-way street for DraftKings, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short, too. I like Collier in the distance, even money. Barnett is awful. I do have a prop that I like on this. I don't have many sneaky props here, but I do have one. So Barnett's awful. He beat Gian Vellante with a crazy spinning kick, but Gian Vellante was so mentally checked out. And shouldn't have been fighting heavyweight anyway. I mean, it was a weird. I don't know why they even made that matchup. Other than, I don't know. I don't know why. Give Vellante a paycheck.
His last one, yeah.
I mean, for all our jokes with Collier. Collier, look, he I don't care what the records say. He beat Orlovsky. The Sherman win, look, it's Chase Sherman, I get it, but he did what he had to do. So if you look at the Sherman win, and I know Barnett came on short notice against Rothwell, I feel like those fights are very similar for how this could play out. And I think the Collier submission is kind of an interesting look. I think this fight, he could definitely take this fight to the ground. If he wants it on the ground, it'll go there. His submission props plus 475. It's not like I could see it happening maybe 1 out of 3 times he gets this to the ground and subs him. If he gets him to the ground, I don't see how Barnett gets up. So to me, I'm big on Collier here, winning the distance, and there's no equity on the Barnett side for me. I think his floor in DFS is probably 0.
Yep.
Like, it's probably just get taken down and
he gets trip takedown, and that's the last time.
But the Collier sub is an interesting look for me here as kind of a flyer prop. It's only plus 475. It's a disgrace to Lou bets everywhere. But but like I was thinking, let me take a look at what the round 1 sub is here.
That's totally live, man. Absolutely.
Round 1 subs plus 750. Yeah, I'd probably just want the sub at that point. I'm not getting too much of a boost, but I think but this is Collier all day. And this is and like, I know it's a terrible fight, but I'm here for fights like this. Like, I'm not a purist. I'm not some purist, like Dean Barry and Mike Jackson too. Sign me up. Like, I just want things that I know are going to make me laugh and smile and entertain.
Yep.
And this is just one of those fights. Like, Barnett's going to walk out. He's going to be dancing. He's going to be having a great time. And Collier's going to like make fucking Brady's blood pressure go up 20 points because he exists. And then that's it. And that's going to be the whole thing. So give me Collier all day here. Can't imagine you're going to be any different.
No, definitely not. I'm on the Collier side again. I'll be overexposed because everyone around him except for Norma Dumont is going to be way overowned. And maybe not Yelton Almeida. I'll be way over on him too. But as far as like Hamzat and all that stuff, give me 9,100 here. Chris Barnett, after that Boudet fight, how could you even think he's going to win another? I mean, I think he should be cut after this fight, probably. So after he loses this to Fat Collier,
I would be remiss. Hold on. I would be remiss to say that while I don't have an official Yambag play for this card, if there's going to be Yambags on this card, this is the fight.
Yeah, exactly. This is the one.
They made this fight expressly for that purpose.
Yeah. I mean, Collier scores well. Chris Barnett doesn't. I think if anyone gets a finish, it's Collier here. If this goes to decision, well, then, I mean,
we deserve, if it goes to decision, I deserve to lose the bet.
Yeah, exactly.
I very much deserve to lose that bet at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I'm with you 100%. Collier lands a takedown. Chris Barnett doesn't get back up. And then that's the end of the fight. Collier with a first round win could make the optimal here with a takedown or two, like Barnett's going to get up with a takedown and maybe a ton of control time, get that submission win, score over 100 points, and make things interesting for sure.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about this fight, and he said, well, didn't Barnett take that fight on short notice against Rothwell? I'm like, do you think it mattered? He goes, that's very right. He goes, well, that's very. He said, well, I said, what was he going to do? Like, get in better shape? Like, do you honestly? Like, does it matter? Do you think he needed like those extra days? Like, no, dude. Like, so I don't care that it was short notice. I mean, if this is at like 155, if this is like, you know what I mean? If this is a little higher level on its own, sure. This guy, no, the short weight, the short notice. If anything, it probably helped him survive a round because Rothwell's like, okay, I don't have any tape on him.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, how do you missing weight at heavyweight when, like you said, you're 5'9"? I mean, everybody's talking about Hamzat not trying. It seems like there wasn't much effort on the Chris Barnett side as well. Next fight, I mean, Jamie Pickett and Dennis Tululin.
Tululin. He's back.
I'm going to be on the Tululin side here, honestly. I don't see, Jamie Pickett scores less than 2 points a minute, 65 per win. Give me Tululin and give me Tululin. I like his finish odds right here at the $7,900 salary. I hope he catches Jamie Pickett and puts his lights out. Completely honest, I will be well over the field, I think, on Dennis Tululin. That's just how it's going to work out. That's how the math's going to work out this week in my 20 maxes. Well, maybe not now. I mean, I'll probably still be a bit over on him, but I don't remember what I saw his ownership was, but it was not very high. This fight in general, I think, was the second lowest owned fight, and that was at like 28% total. So I will be under on Jamie Pickett probably. I might not even have a lineup with him in it in a 20 max. And I'll probably have, I think when I did my lineups earlier, which will now all change. In fact, I deleted them all right before this show. I had like 8 lineups out of 20 with Dennis Tululin in them. So I'm hoping for a finish here over Jamie Pickett. And if not, well, then I guess I'm going to eat some points. But, I don't think what is Jamie Pickett going to do in a fight like this? Like what is he going to do in any fight? First of all, somehow he has 8 professional wins, none in the UFC, obviously, and has been finished by sub and by KO. So I'm leaning Tululin for the finish here. What do you got on this one?
What did Pickett score against Holmes? It couldn't have been much.
No, 66 against Holmes, 65 against Staropoli.
And that's 30 with the win.
Correct.
Jesus Christ. That's
36
like,
points. 36 points plus the bonus.
Oh, brother. So look, I'm never betting Jamie Pickett. Let me just get that out of the way. Like, there's no world where I'm like, man, I'm on the Pickett side. I've looked at Tululin stuff. Tululin, however.
Tululin.
Now, look, the Kizriev fight I will forgive because that was just a total. He was there to die.
Yes.
And he still hung around for like.
He lasted into the second round.
I mean, he killed me. I had Kizriev round 1. So, like, okay. Yeah. But like, if I looked at him on the regionals, he's either losing these weird split decisions or he's getting subbed.
Yep.
But when he wins by knockout. Now, like, the problem is Pickett's weirdly hard to hit and doesn't engage in a lot of firefights. I mean, if there's any finish equity in this fight, it's on the Tululin side.
Yep, I agree.
Guy's got some power. I don't think his boxing's great, but he hits hard. But with Pickett's so low volume that I think I'm not going to play Tululin KO. It's plus 300. I thought about taking a stab at that. But I think the optics in a fight like this is I don't know how Pickett tires him out. I think it's going to be 15 minutes of standing. And I think Tululin can at least land the better looking shots. I do think he's got KO equity. But I think even in these rounds that Pickett, I mean, you look at the wins Pickett had, Staropoli threw nothing. And Holmes took it on short notice. And he just pressed Holmes against the cage and he kind of won the optics. I think Tululin, as long as he stays off with his back off the cage, can land the better shots here. So I'm on the Tululin side. I don't know if I'm going to get there as a bet. I'm just never betting Jamie Pickett. But I do think Tululin, I think the KO is weirdly live on his side. If you're going to play any kind of finish, that's the side. So
yeah, I completely agree. I love that we're in agreement there because I was wondering about this one. At first, I had not much of it, and then I saw how low the ownership was. And guys, as you know, DraftKings is an ownership game, so I'll gladly be over the field on this fight as a whole, and it's all going to be on Tululin. So I will take a stab there for sure. Next fight, my personal most owned fighter of the night. I tried to get 70% of him in there. I might be able to now, depending on what happens with the whole rest of the card situation. But I ended up with about 50%, still over the field at 40-some%. But Yelton Almeida, man, I was fading Hamzat big time, not because I thought he was going to lose, but I just like the chances of optimal for Almeida a bit better than Hamzat here against Anton Turkalj. Lou, you know I'm a nickname guy, and I mean, Malhadinho might mean the pleasure man in Portuguese. I have no idea, and if it is, then I'll hate Almeida as well, but the pleasure man is one of an all-time awful nicknames in my opinion. I hate it.
My God.
The pleasure man.
It suits his personality perfectly too. It really does.
Man, I'm sure it does. Now he is going to be the taller fighter according to UFC stats, but they have about the same reach, or Almeida technically has a 1-inch longer reach. But these numbers for Almeida are crazier than Almeida's first 2 fights compared to Hamzat's first 2 fights aren't even really close. And Hamzat demolished, as you know, both of the first 2 guys he fought and took no damage. Almeida, 6.95 points a minute, allows just 0.05 points a minute so far in his 7.5 minutes in the UFC, guys. I mean, this is not even like half of a point total he's given up in 2 fights. 116 is what he scores. Until someone tells me, shows me why I shouldn't roster a ton of Almeida at 9,500. I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, I don't trust Turkalj. Yeah, he in his Dana White Contender Series fight landed 11 takedowns against someone named Acacio dos Santos. 11 takedowns. So for some reason, his stats are not for some reason. For that reason, his stats are completely elevated. 6.31 points a minute, only allows, 0.64. That said, I don't think we're in the same ballpark here. Hopefully I'm not proven wrong, but I think Almeida is like levels and levels and levels above this guy. Should finish him probably in the first round, in my opinion. Could be ground and pound, could be sub. Who knows? I wouldn't pick one if I was betting this. I would just pick the, probably under 1.5. I guess we'll see what Lou says, what these lines are when it comes up. I'd want to hear it. But as far as DraftKings, most owned fighter on the card right here, I'll have 0% Anton Turkalj in a 20 max. Lou, what do you think? Any of those lines that I was mentioning jumping out?
Well, I'll tell you the way I'm going to play the fight, because there's 3 ways I looked at it. I'm on the Almeida side, but I'll get to why in a second. Almeida in the distance is minus 280. Almeida rounds 1 and 2 is minus 250. Under 1.5 is -160. So out of the three of them, I'll play the under 1.5.
Yep.
You may as well give me the 1% chance that Pleasure Man gets it done. Now, I didn't have to watch tape on the Pleasure Man because I done watch tape on him 6 weeks ago when he had his fight in the Contender Series, and I had watched all the tape of him going into that fight, and there's not much because all of his fights end in like 2 minutes. The guy's knocking out cans. Acacia dos Santos is not a very good fighter, but was landing on him. I mean,
there it is.
I'm not
there it
upset with
is.
that. I think Wheezy. I think Wheezy claimed that nickname though. So I think Wheezy claimed it like
Yeah. Okay.
and he's got the smoking jacket. Like,
Exactly.
So Dos Santos, who I don't think is very good, doesn't have a great cardio, and isn't a great striker, was outlanding Turkali here to the point where he had to go for takedowns. The reason his stats look so good is because he couldn't do anything with the takedowns. Like Dos Santos just kept getting up.
Okay.
Turkali did no damage on the ground. I think he, I'm not joking when I say this. I have to go look at the stat. If you have him there, I think he landed like 7 strikes the whole fight.
21 actually, but his opponent landed 19.
Bullshit. He landed 21 strikes. I will tell you that right now. There ain't no way he landed 21 strikes in that fight. He threw nothing. So here's the thing. He's trying to wrestle a guy that had very subpar striking just because he knew he was going to get it, because he was getting outclassed. Well, right. Almeida, who claims he's a boxer, is going to have a striking advantage. If Turkali wants to go to the ground, he's going to die. Yeah. So I just don't see a path for him here. I mean, this is honestly like a Romanov-Sherman fight for me, like in terms of what the line should be.
It opened at -15. It went down to, we're close to -700 now. Why is that?
Because his fucking name's the Pleasure Man, dude. Like people are like, all right, well, I'll take, and it's not heavyweight, but there's still, I get it, man. It's like a variance game, but like
short notice for this Turkal, however you pronounce it. It's short notice. Almeida was supposed to fight Shamil Abdurakhimov. He was supposed to destroy him.
But like, look, he didn't get a contract on the show, so this was his path to take to get a contract.
Jesus, well, good luck, buddy.
Well, look, a contract's gonna be worthless when you get beat up so bad you can't read.
Exactly.
It's like fighting I'd fight Mike Tyson for $1 million. Like, dude, he's gonna put you in like a coma and give you brain damage. Like they can hand you like notebook paper and be like, here's your fucking bath, dude.
Yeah, like, enjoy that money. You might as well take a bath.
So Almeida by prison stuff, round 1. But under 1.5 out of all of them you're getting the best odds. And not only that, like I said, you do get like that miraculously the Pleasure Man comes out and like knocks this dude out. And like I don't know if you ever saw this, but there's in one of his fights, he knocks dude out in like a minute and then runs out of the cage like the Ultimate Warrior and like doesn't even wait for the ref, just runs out of the cage right to the back like he had to go take a dump. So like, I mean, like it doesn't take long to watch all his tape. I think his Contender Series fight was longer than his previous 7 fights combined.
Oh my god!
So, but I don't think he's very skilled. I mean, he's like a little bit of power, but and he's a lot bigger than you think. Like, kind of like I was surprised. You see him on tape and you're like, but like Dos Santos wasn't a small dude. Like, I mean, he's a pretty big dude, but Almeida is like a fucking monster.
He looks giant. Yeah,
he's not gonna look like a big dude in this fight.
No, not at all.
And just so you know, Dana White has gone on.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
Well, I don't have it on, and apparently I don't know where he went live, but I will just troll the Twitter timeline as we speak and give you guys some advice, give you guys some news as it comes up to me.
Sounds good. Well, I'll let you do that for a second since we are a few minutes after 5 o'clock, guys. Thanks for sticking around, chat. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps us out here on the MMA Engine. Me, Wheezy, Brady, and Lou Betya bringing you guys content several times a day, several days a week before each and every UFC card. So we really appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. And glad to see Lou back in the chair, as many of you have commented as well. So we appreciate that wholeheartedly. Next fight, one of the most intriguing fights on the card, in my opinion, Hakeem Dawodu and Julian Erosa. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we did have a weight miss here. Hakeem Dawodu coming in, I think, 3.5 pounds over, if I'm not mistaken.
149.5.
Oof. Yeah, so yeah, 3.5 over. My goodness, at featherweight, he gives up 30% of his purse to Erosa, who I thought has a decent chance of catching Dawodu. Erosa was just by mathematics and having a ton of Yelton. I almost said Shamil, but Yelton in my lineups. I was gonna have a bunch of Erosa, probably almost as much as I had of Tululin, right around 40% or so. That's just how it was gonna work out. I did have a bunch of shares of Dawodu, however, and outside of his last fight, let's see, against Trezano, in which he put up 102 points, Dawodu has actually not been a historically great scorer. He only put up 57 against Zubaira, less than 70 against Arce, 91 against Hori back in 2019, and gave up like 138 against Mavzar Evloev. You can't really avoid that. Mavzar is going to take you down and do whatever he wants to you on the ground. So there is that. But Erosa, tons of points in Erosa's fights, 3.61 a minute, 106 when he wins, gives up 4.5 points a minute himself, 104, almost 105 when he loses. The guy's 5-5 between the last 3 fights of each of these guys. So each of them have fought a total of 6 times since 1/1/21. I believe 5 of them. That's not true. 5 of them, yeah, somebody has made the optimal lineup, either them or their opponent. So these fights are super high scoring and very, very good chance of making the optimal at least. And as far as finishes go, I think half their fights have been finishes in the past 6, something ridiculous like that. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think the winner makes the optimal. Well, that's not true. I think Erosa, if he wins, makes the optimal. If Dawodu gets somehow an early finish and scores, 110 points, I think he'll make it. But I like the Erosa side. I like the chances here. I'm picking Dawodu to win, but for DraftKings, give me a ton of Erosa just in case we get lucky here at 7,300. Lou, what do you got? Did you see anything, first of all? And how do you see this fight as far as betting goes?
Well, first of all, Dawodu's last finish was 3 years ago. That's the last time a fight went to. So his
opponents are making the optimal lineup.
and so all I'll talk about on the Dawodu side, aside from the weight miss, is the Trezano fight was so boring, and Trezano just doesn't throw any punches. I realize Trezano is coming off like a hilarious fight himself, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just not impressed with Trezano getting knocked out by Almeida was weird, but Dawodu, he's technical, he's got some length, but I've never been super impressed with him. But I love Erosa's style. I know Sungwoo Choi crushed him with a KO. That actually was a bad betting night for me. I was on a road for that. But the last time Erosa fought, wasn't Steven Peterson 5 pounds overweight?
Yep.
And did it was flipped, did not care. And that was an awesome war. I think I had Peterson split decision in that fight too. And I was dying for for that third judge, but very close fight there. But Erosa made some changes to his life. He said his diet had always been bad. That's why his chin was so suspect at that point. But it wasn't suspect against Jourdain. I'll tell you that much. And it wasn't suspect against Peterson, who brought the fight. So Dawodu for me is just too slow. Sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. He's too low volume for me. He doesn't proactively just go out there. If the under 2.5 is minus 105, it was plus 110 earlier. This is a fight I do have a bet on, because it plays into Erosa's typical win and loss condition. But I'm on the Erosa side here, man. I think if there's going to be any takedown upside, it's going to be him. He's way better on the ground. And again, I told you I didn't have many props on this card, but the Erosa submission at plus 650 is really sneaky. His props don't make any sense. The plus 800 for the KO, I get, because Dawodu doesn't get KO'd. But I think on the ground, I think Erosa is going to have a tremendous advantage. I think that submission's live at plus 650. So I'm on the Erosa side. I'm very much on the under 2.5 as the safest play. I do think Dawodu is strong enough to KO him. And again, I can't write off Erosa's chin just for surviving 2 fights. But Erosa's going to make this fight's going to be fought on Erosa's terms. It's going to be him coming forward. It's not going to be him waiting for Dawodu.
No.
So Dawodu's either going to get taken down, where he's going to be in a world of trouble, or he's going to get forced into one of these firefights, and then he is technical and can do a lot of damage on Erosa. So I will say the last 2 fights have been really impressed with Erosa's cardio.
Exactly.
Which I had not been in the past. The Jourdain fight, he looked very fresh. I mean, he was way more fresh than Jourdain, which is saying something. And against Peterson, who again had a tremendous weight advantage, like Arosa looked strong in like the late rounds. That was such a good. That's a sneaky, underrated good fight from here.
Huge.
So,
that was great.
Give me Arosa at the dog price, man.
Yeah, and he's going to be at least 3 inches taller than Dawodu. I think he's going to just be way, oversized, overreach as well. I love the underdog play here on Erosa. Next fight, we are getting into the main card here. So far, none of the fights have been altered. It's all up to the last 3, so we're still intact for this fight, which I was kind of off of at first, but now I think there's no there. I almost went triple negative there. You have to play this fight for DraftKings. Johnny Walker, Ion Cutelaba. I mean, the finish rate on these guys is off the chart as far as wins or losses. The amount of times that their fights end in finishes lately has been ridiculous. So Walker scoring only 2.3 a minute, 116.5 when he wins. That's a trademark look of I get finish wins. Low raw points per minute, high DraftKings points per win. I get finish wins. That's what that says. Cutelaba, huge pace, 4.3 a minute, 110 when he wins. Neither guy giving up a ton of points, but I mean, Johnny Walker's been KO'd, once, twice in his past 5. KO'd Ryan Spann for his only win out of his last 4. Thiago Santos, and did I just see that? Did he sign with PFL? Is that official? Interesting. So yeah, Johnny, one of these guys needs a win here. Both guys have 1 win in their past 5 fights, so 2 wins total out of their past 10 fights. I mean, there is a common opponent here. Cutelaba got subbed by Spann in the first round. Meanwhile, Spann was Walker's only win, and he got that done in the first round in the last 5 here. So I don't know what really to think. I think someone finishes this fight for sure. I think I'm probably leaning Cutelaba. I'll probably have more Cutelaba here. I just think that he could be the one to bank Johnny Walker at any minute and just put him down. That chin is super suspect. I don't care if you just quit smoking weed, quit drinking, quit sniffing glue, or huffing paint. It does not matter. That's not going to improve your chin.
He didn't say he quit those things.
That's true.
I mean, those things might still be very much in play.
He said he quit CBD. Like, dude, come on. That's like saying I quit drinking O'Doul's beer. Like, that's good. It's good that you did quit that. But
and then I saw like Clint
what's that doing?
About, like Clint made a comment and be like, "Oh yeah, I had a problem with the devil's lettuce." Let me just tell you something. If you use the term devil's lettuce, you're probably a narc,
right?
Because I'll tell you, you know who says that? Nobody cool.
Nobody cool
says devil's lettuce.
That's what Millhouse would say that when he was all grown up.
You know what cool people say? Weed. You know what else? You know what else cool people don't say? Smoking up. That's not a term that the cool kids use. Like, you want to get high, dude? It's like,
yeah, let's go smoke up behind the dumpster.
On a side note, can I just tell you, like, you
go ahead. I'm on Cutelaba here, and that's it.
I'm retired from the weed. From the smoking the weed,
jazz cabbage.
I'm retired from smoking the weed, but the one thing I used to hate in like college was, we had this dude who shall remain nameless. Not that anybody know him, but like, on like the off chance that he's like, you know what, I really want to watch a video about like what the fights are this weekend. I'm like, that fucking, So like this dude always had weed. The problem is like I hated getting high with him. He's so annoying to get high with. So we had this whole like goddamn scheme we had to concoct. Like we get high, and then like somebody come in the room and be like, "Oh man, like Rob, can you take me to Wawa?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, all right, yeah, sure." And they're like, "Doesn't he have a car?" He's like, "I'm at the door." No, oh dude, thanks for hanging out, man. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And then like, yeah, like we're awful, but like also don't be annoying. Like here, the lesson is don't be annoying and have weed all the time.
True.
Like
there's a lesson there.
You can be annoying and not have weed, and that's great. Because then I don't want to hang out with you. There's like, but if you have weed, try to be less annoying. So Walker Cutelaba is where we're at, and I don't love Cutelaba. I want to like him. He's kind of fun, and
his head is gigantic, by the way.
And like, look, his draw against Jacoby looks better now because I think Jacoby's shown that he's pretty solid at 205. Cutelaba is always undersized here. So Walker, I mean, look, man, the Spann loss was, that was Cutelaba. The losing to Jamal Hill is what it is. Jamal Hill's probably going to be the champion one day, I believe, or at least is going to get a title. Is going to be a title contender. The Santos fight was that was his first fight after a new camp at SPG Global. They took what the fun part of Walker was away. I got to think that a little more of the fun part of Walker is going to be unleashed. How about Walker round 2 KO at plus 900? I think if there's any takedown upside, it's Kutiaba, and I understand that. But outside of the first round, okay. So is it going to be all three of them?
Is this official?
I'm looking now. Casper Ruud is also in the fire. Nate Diaz is the main event against Ferguson.
Okay.
And I'm not seeing the other stuff. Oh, and it's okay. Per Dana White, Cosmot against Kevin Holland and Leach against Daniel Rodriguez. These are our 3 fights. Sorry about the echo.
Okay, so hold on. Sorry to switch screens on everybody here, but all right. So now we have 9,600 instead of going against 66 is going against 8,700. So that is not ideal.
That's a
no-go. We also have let's see who else. Ferguson 72 against 6,600. This is now a must-play fight. 7,200 going against 6,600. Nate Diaz. I mean, that's about as a must-play as you could imagine. And then just play both sides. And then who else? Daniel Rodriguez. Is this official too? You said
against the Leach, yeah.
So now we have 75, and instead of against 75 against 87, we have 75 against 9,000. That's not ideal, but it's not anything like the main event is. So some big changes here.
I mean, let me ask you this: would you debate stacking the main event?
Holland and
no. Would you debate stacking Ferguson?
Oh.
If you don't think there's a finish in that fight, and to be honest with you, I'm not certain I see one.
Then yes.
I mean, you're spending $13,000.
Yep.
And where one's guaranteed to win, and they're probably both going to get points.
Yeah, 66 and 72. Yeah, that's 13-8. They would both get points.
So stack the main and take the next 4 highest guys that are not Khamzat and Holland.
What is the Hams? I guess we'll get into it in our last 3. We'll get into it, so we'll save it for that. I'll save my question as to what that fight actually looks like. So
I'm going to take Walker by KO here. I'm going to pray that he goes back. I still hear the echo too. It's driving me nuts, but I'm going to pray that it goes back to a little bit of the fun stuff here. He can outlast Kutiaba for a round and get him out of there. I don't love Kutiaba's chin. He will be undersized here.
Yeah, first, way undersized, it looks like. Next fight, we'll try to get through. We can get through this one quickly. Irene Aldana going against Macy Chiasson. First, I was on the Chiasson. Actually, why don't you go ahead and start this one off? I've started the past few off. I haven't switched it up.
Apparently, Dana White said, according to Brady, quote, "It literally couldn't have played out any better." Huh.
What? It couldn't have played out any better?
Oh, and this is important too. The co-main and the main are both 5 rounds. So the Kevin Holland Khamzat fight will be 5 rounds as well.
Well, you're not going to need that, right? We'll get into it. Okay.
I don't know, man. Holland's pretty tough. We'll get into that. So now we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants. We have some. Well, I don't think we have odds for the Leach and. Oh, we do. Okay, so we have odds for all 3 fights. They may not be available on your book, but there are. Yeah, and I like these fights too. Okay, Aldana, Chiasson. I was big on the Aldana side. The problem is I don't like this move up in weight. I know they both kind of struggled, but Chiasson has fought at heavier weights before.
Yep.
She walks around naturally a little heavier.
And this one is at 140. We didn't mention that. Maybe we did.
It's catch weight at 140.
140 now.
But Aldana weighed 137. So
yep.
For what it's worth, I like Aldana's. I think she's just a far better fighter. But I would for the sake of the show, I will pick her. But I'm not betting this fight because A, I can't get a Chiasson fight right to save my goddamn life, and B, I like the higher up at 135 where Chiasson had to make a cut. That's another reason I really favored Aldana. So I'm going to pick Aldana for the sake of the show. No bet for me on this one at all.
All right, I will speed through this because the timing of Dana releasing that and us talking about the last 3 fights is almost too good to be true. I like Aldana here, but 8,800 is a bit too much to pay. I will have sprinkles of her and Kiesan, but as far as Kiesan goes, she scores very, very. The DraftKings upside is very good, 102 per win, over 4 points a minute, and she's 1,200 under her average salary. I mean, 5 of 6 of her UFC wins have been over 100 points, which would easily put her on the optimal at 7,400. That said, I think Aldana is getting a bit slept on here, even at her high price. So I will have shares of both, probably a bit more, might be pretty equal actually, Kiesan and Aldana, but it's not a fight I'm focusing on, even though I think it does have a chance to finish inside the distance and could be a bit sneaky. But yeah, I just want to get into the next ones here. Let's talk about it. I'll pull up I'll pull up the old fights because that's what I have. So
That's
now
fine.
the
We'll go Leech D-Rod first, I guess.
Leech D-Rod first. So we'll pull up Leech's stats. I'll try to change them a little bit, maybe as we go back and forth. But
how about I let me handle the bets for all three of them, and then go through what you think the DK strategy is with all of them changing.
Let's do it.
All right, so we got the Leech and we got Dan Rodriguez. Dan Rodriguez is minus 156. The Leech is plus 122. Obviously, I have not had time to kind of really figure out what I wanted to bet here. I will say that I was going to bet Ferguson. Not that I love the Tony Ferguson side, but Leech as a favorite has always been awful. Thank you, Che Wei. Lee as a favorite is a terrible bet constantly. As an underdog, the dude cashes tickets. So I like D-Rod a lot. I mean, he's one of my dudes I love watching.
Yep.
If this is just going to stay on the feet the whole time, I think Lee can get him out. Like, I don't know if he can get him out of there, but I think over 15 minutes can wear him out. I think he'll have more volume late. I know D-Rod has had a lot of fights where he's thrown over 100 strikes, but all right, listen. I mean, I'll post my bets, at some point tomorrow. At the price, I'm going to take. Oh, actually, hold on. So Rodriguez is no, because they're fighting it. Because Rodriguez is fucking 10 pounds heavier than him, isn't he?
Yeah. So what's this going? Is this catch weight at what? One? I mean, because Lee made weight.
I didn't realize it was. So it's going to be 180 against 170. Yeah, I got to take D-Rod here.
Dang, man.
The 10 pound. All right, so I'm taking D-Rod because of the weight. It's a big difference. The line's reasonable. I guess minus 150 is fine here. But yeah, so I'll take D-Rod. I don't know how. Probably if I'm going to take him, it would just probably be money line. I would lean decision win for him.
Yeah, if that's the case.
I think Leach is pretty tough. I mean, the Khamzat fight aside, he's pretty tough. So give me D-Rod. I did not realize it was going to be such a weight difference here.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Now let's go to the next one, and I'll,
So next one would be, I assume it's Khamzat and
yes, that's the co-main.
Kevin Holland.
So the odds for this are much like the Diaz was. Actually, I take that back. They have been crazy bet. So Khamzat is minus 430.
What did he open at?
Minus 1,000. It was 1,675 for Holland. And then, I mean, this is all in like the last few minutes. So Khamzat's minus 430 and Kevin Holland is plus 300.
Wow.
Now look, man, I love me some Kevin Holland.
That's shocking.
They're not gonna change the DK salaries, AJ. That's the thing is, I doubt Monk is more the expert here.
They've never changed one. They just roll with it.
Like if people have that people locked in the lineups, like it is what it is. So we're gonna talk about that in a second, though, like because the main event is now must play and possibly stackable at these salaries. But this is a fight that is now incredibly hard to fit in your lineup if you really wanted to, because we've seen Holland taken down a lot. And I know Khamzat can, but Khamzat, look, you can make the case that he didn't go for takedowns against Burns because he knew that Burns' bread and butter was the ground game. So that's one thing. Holland's improved his takedown defense, maybe not to the level where he can stop Khamzat, but Holland's probably the best striker by miles that Khamzat's ever faced. So
Sure.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm looking at this and it's like, minus 430 isn't a horrible price on Khamzat. You're not going to get this price typically with, you know what I mean? Like, it's not bad.
It's insanity. Minus 430. It's been bet down to $6.
The thing is Holland's never faced a graph. So, like, I'm looking at the time props right now. I don't know if I know how to bet this one yet. So, under 2.5 is minus 110.
And this is 5 rounds, you said.
Yeah, but this
under
isn't going to
2.5
be
is
like
what? Minus 110?
Yeah, and this isn't going to be like that's an interesting play for me because this isn't going to be like, like what Brunson or Vittori taking him down and just not really doing any damage. This is going to be Khamzat just chucking him down and like just raining down.
Right.
And then the flip side of it is Holland's the best striker and the most powerful striker he's ever faced. And there's no reason to think that Holland can't have success. I mean, when they're at range. So Holland's live for a KO. And look, let's be honest. Khamzat's not in shape. Came in this fight overweight, not in optimal shape. So could he be injured? Maybe. I mean, I think that he's kind of looking for an excuse here, but maybe it's possible. So, and look, kudos to Holland, man. He's like, let's fucking go, dude. Like, I don't fucking care if this is a bad matchup. Like, let's fucking go. So kudos to Holland here. I think the under might be the play.
I think so.
Minus 110. But again, I will post what I'm going to have to kind of process a little bit. And these are obviously all new fights for me in the last 10 minutes. So
yeah,
the main event, Tony Ferguson and Diaz. I mean, yeah, I know, but it might be. Let's put it this way: is he worth the salary against?
That's a tough salary to get to.
That's
sure.
More of like the problem is this isn't like Diaz where like you kind of know how it was going to play out, but
yeah, I was going to be over because I was planning on a first round finish, but I don't know, maybe. Fuck.
So Ferguson has gone from plus 135 to minus 170 on aggregate, and Nate Diaz is plus 140. So what's up, my dude Shark? There he is. Shark is not. I don't know who Shark's lock of the week is, but he's pretty good with his. When he feels strongly about a fight, you take notice. I don't know. I don't know why people would rush to the window on either guy.
Right.
So here's my play. Don't. This is probably the last time we're going to see both guys. It's possible. Just sit back and enjoy this one, to be completely honest, because it would be a very Diaz thing for him to win like some greasy split decision and just stick the middle fingers up in the air and get the fuck out of the cage.
Yeah.
Like if this thing is going to play out with like a narrative, I feel like that's the narrative here. But I mean, the big question is, A, have Ferguson's skills truly diminished? And the answer is a little, but not as much as you think. And B, how has he recovered from the kick, like, the face?
4 months ago.
Whereas with Diaz, the dude's like, I realize they're like the same age, but I feel like they're a different generation. Like Diaz is just like the old school. Like,
yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like, and he's never been finished. Or if I'm not mistaken, maybe he's been finished once. I'm pretty sure he's like never been KO. Like I don't know. I don't know that Ferguson can finish him.
He's been KO TKO'd twice.
Right. But how long ago was that?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I'm looking. When was the last time he got finished? Oh, Masvidal. Well, he was getting his ass kicked in that fight. Fair enough.
Yeah. Was that the cut stoppage?
Yeah, but that was common. Well, you never know. I mean, it's probably common. I don't know but Ferguson, I don't know that he's going to, and there's another, that's another issue too, is Ferguson, wanted to fight at 3 rounds, but they probably just gave him a lot more money and say, hey man, look, you're main event, you're getting paid a lot more, like you got to do 5 rounds. So,
man,
again, I have to really kind of think all this stuff through, but I'm thinking not only do I like the Diaz side here, the later the fight goes, he might be a good live bet. It might be a good live bet after the first round because I think Ferguson's going to be better early, but I don't know. I don't know that I trust Ferguson past 2 rounds at this point. I don't know if he can wear the damage anymore, whereas Diaz just doesn't care. Like the problem is, and the thing is if this thing hits the ground, I mean, I know Diaz is like, it's going to be, I don't know, man. I don't know. I may have to think of this. I may have to think through this a little more, guys. Like, I'm really sorry. I'm certainly not trying to be unprofessional. Like, we just, like, this is on the fly, like, gun to my head. I don't understand why all the money has gone on Ferguson, like, so much. I think that this is one of those fights where whoever the dog is was going to have some equity, but maybe live bet it after round one. Maybe get a little feel of how it's going, see if it's hit the ground at all, and just wait it out. And the thing is you'll probably get plus 230, 250 on Diaz easy after round one.
Yeah, that's probably true, Flamingo.
I mean, I see Raw Torque saying
no, he might be happy. Go ahead.
I see Ross saying he's not going to like 5 rounds of the leg kicks. I mean, but do we know we're getting that? Like, I don't know that that's the game plan from Tony. And like, again, you have a dude, like we talk about it all the time, man, within that 6-month range of getting knocked out. I just don't like what I see from fighters typically. Like, I don't. And I know Tony's a whole different breed of animal, man, but a lot of losses in a row. Like, it's tough for me to, like, that's like when, again, I don't want to mention who this is in the community, but there's a prominent person in the community who was betting Sam Alvey every single time he fought, even though he had lost 8 in a row, because he's like, oh, but he can win this one. And I feel like maybe that's what's happened with Ferguson here. Is people are like, well,
yeah,
you know, like, look, man, he's, you know, even me, I'm like, oh man, Ferguson might be due here. And then, but like, that's kind of like a losing, that's not like the right attitude to take when making a bet for me. So I'll have to think this one through. I lean Diaz at the price, but there's no confidence yet. But I think live betting this fight, no matter who you like, is, if you like, I guess if you like Ferguson, you have to take him pre-fight.
Yeah,
I think he wins the first round. But I think if you like Diaz, wait a little bit. So, all right, I'm done with all this. I got nothing else to add.
So I'll do the DFS quick. Li Jingliang, I think, is the first one going against what we say, Daniel Rodriguez. I agree. I want to put money on Lee. I want to back Lee, but the size difference here might be ridiculous. Like, how tall is? Sorry, I'm going to be switching back and forth here. So D-Rod is 6'1", 74-inch reach, whereas the Leech is 6 foot 71-inch reach. Also, it has to be noted, D-Rod 200-0 in prison and the streets. So let's not forget that statistic, guys. Plus, I mean, you got to be kind of to put like lips right here on your face and then have some other shit on your face. And have some other shit on your face, like you're probably knocking people out, in my opinion. I mean, you know, other than Post Malone, I'll probably not want to fight you. I don't have anything against Post Malone. Let's not get that twisted. But yeah, Li Jingliang, I want to put him in 9,000, but Daniel Rodriguez at 7,500. We are paying up a bit for this one compared to the 7,200 we had on Tony Ferguson, but I guess I'll be higher on Daniel Rodriguez, most likely. You'll have to get the main event winner now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably so. That one's a definite must play. I agree with CP. This probably goes free or all three. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm just trying to read comments and speak. But I think this one goes all three most likely. Maybe I'll be a little lower on it than usual. If anything, I'll have more Rodriguez to try to be sneaky and get just get some salary relief. That one's a tough one to suss out. This next one, Hamzat and Kevin Holland. I probably think off the top of my head that Holland gets ragdolled and at least for a round or two if he's not finished earlier than that. I was not going to be heavy on Hamzat either way. I had, I think, 15%. I had 3 lineups out of 20 with Hamzat in them. That's it. So I'll probably be around the same. 60 or 9,600 does not make optimal very much. And now I think he's got a tougher opponent than he had against Nate Diaz. In fact, I think I had 4 lineups with him just because I thought he would finish Nate Diaz in the first. But this one I think could get out of the first round. I don't know. It sounds like they had some kind of altercation yesterday. Who knows what the hell happened? I still like Hamzat by a wide margin here. I can't believe the line has dropped $6 towards Kevin Holland. That seems crazy to me. Maybe it shouldn't be 11, whatever, or minus 11 or minus 1,000, but minus 430 seems insane. I like Hamzat here. I'll still be low on him. And I'm not going to have a ton of this fight because now you're looking at 9,600 against 8,700. What is that? 18,000 2,300 if I'm doing that math right.
Way too much.
$2,100 over the natural salary. So yeah, I'm not gonna be on this fight at all, pretty much. And the one I will be putting my chips on is going to be not this one, the Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson fight, which is now 70.
Just for the record, just so you know, I just checked all 3 of my books that I use.
Yeah.
I don't have any lines yet. So I don't know if you guys are like, I mean, maybe bet online. I'm seeing that FanDuel has them up and Betway, but I just checked Betway. So Betway PA doesn't have them. But if you guys are trying to get to these lines now before they get steamed, like I just get on it. Like,
yeah, because
but it looks like
happening.
FanDuel appears to have it. There's no props, like obviously at this point, like maybe like an over/under, but there's no props for any of these fights at this point.
But keep it locked in, because for a few hours, I mean, these books are going to be scrambling to get these lines in. This is a huge change in storyline, huge change in fights. Everyone's paying attention to it because it is such a freaking shit show. So we got that going for us. But to wrap it up, Lou, this main event is now a must play. Tony Ferguson, 7,200 going against Nate Diaz, 6,600. So this one's only what, $13,800. So we're like well over $2,000 under our average salaries here as well. Like you said, this has possible stacking opportunity if this goes the distance. It is 5 rounds now. Ferguson scores 2.5 points a minute over his career. Nate Diaz scores over 3 points a minute over his career. So we could get some decent scores here out of a stack. That said, as far as who do I think will win, I mean, I'm leaning Nate Diaz right off the top of my head, but either one of these guys could get busted open, fight stopped after like the second or third round. That is easily a possibility. A TKO doctor stoppage at one of a 5-minute interval. Either way, that could happen. I have no idea. I'm going to be well over on this fight. I'm going to be watching ownerships like a hawk overnight tonight and into the morning tomorrow. So I'm sorry I don't have a ton of advice for you other than don't play the co-main event and then play the crap out of this Ferguson and Diaz fight, just because you're getting so much salary relief here. You're going to be able to put Jelton Almeida in every single lineup. That's pretty much what I'm going to do now. Hamzat's going to be very, very, like I said, probably less than 15% now for me. Holland's going to be well under-owned, not under-owned, but I'm going to be well under the field on him. I like Rodriguez. I like the Ferguson Diaz fight. I just have no idea how it's going to shake out. So that's kind of how I see this one. I'm glad that you guys stuck around with us to see as all this develops. We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. I feel like a weatherman during like a tornado watch, right, or a tornado warning right now. Got my sleeves rolled up, kind of pointing all directions, not really just saying words to fill the time until you're safe. So I'm just going to be watching this like everyone else. As soon as we get off this show, I'm going to adjust all my matchups and get right back into lineup construction for the next couple hours. So just keep checking Twitter, guys. I'll hopefully maybe post a couple of things. But Lou, anything else for this crazy, insane card? I think we have like 5 or 6 weight misses. Any final thoughts on this card before we let the people get on with their Friday night?
Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. What a show to make your return.
Yeah, I mean, the Twitter stuff, the blah blah blah. Enjoy the fights. I would like to say that I didn't have any football to do today on my show with Easy on the DFS Whisperers channel since the Queen passed away. Like, obviously, as a footy fan, this breaks my heart.
Right.
I am getting excited for NFL. I got some college picks I like, but this show's not about that. So just worry about this. Enjoy the fights. Enjoy the fights. I think just remember, every time one of these fight cards seems like it's going to be a disaster, it ends up being like goddamn awesome. Like think about how many weird fight cards they have that look awful and then become like rad. So I think it's possible that we I think the undercard for this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And it really sucks from a betting perspective.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm not one of these people that posts a bet on Twitter every hour or two and all of a sudden has 90 bets and then says, oh my God, I don't know like how I got this. I don't like anything tonight. I'll tell you my 2 favorite picks for college. I like Houston +4. I like the money line there too, but give me the +4. and the Tennessee Pitt over 64.5 are my favorite 2 plays. I have them bet straight. I have them in a 2-team parlay because DraftKings gave me like a 100% boost on it. I'm like, so I'm getting 5-1 on a 2-teamer. I'm like, I got to do it. So those are my 2 favorite plays. I think Bama should like crush, but like as of tonight, I think Louisville +6 would be the play at any of the games tonight. I think Louisville. I don't think that's a touchdown difference in the game. I think Louisville's all right, but those games are weird, man. UCF, like I also think the public's like super high on UCF still. Like they've built up so much goodwill over the last 3 years, but that team is like kind of a disaster now. So I think +6 is too much for that game. But I'm not gonna get to either game tonight, but I'll worry about tomorrow.
There you go.
But the Tennessee over in Houston are my favorite. The cover are my favorite 2 bets tomorrow.
There you go.
By far.
We're all over the plate. We can get you from any angle, get you some winners picks. So that is what we do here at the MMA Engine. Guys, thank you for sticking around. Thank you so much, chat. Appreciate it. Hopefully you can save your lineups for some of this carnage. Hopefully you can save some of your bets as well or make some new ones that you like. As usual, guys, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you in the next one.